Welcome everyone to the Success Partners International Wednesday Training Zoom. My name is Lynn Schuessler Williams. It's my great pleasure to be your host tonight. We start all our Success Partners calls with our signature message. And each and every person on this call can say, I am part of a growing team of entrepreneurs with a shared mission to protect and empower 2 million families and small businesses with Legal Shield's network of law firms and world-class identity theft services. What we do matters, and we are looking for help. And with that, I have the great pleasure to turn this call over to a gentleman who I am very proud to call friend. He is a mentor and a coach to all of us, Mr. Timmer Halligan. The call is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Lynn. Truly appreciate you. And what a lively check-in that we had tonight. We had folks laughing and giggling, and really that's what this business is all about, is having a little bit of fun. And tonight we're going to have some fun. Tonight we're going to do some role playing. I got a couple ladies that we're going to help us out tonight in doing this role playing. But first I want to kind of set the stage. Number one, welcome to all brand new associates that are new to Legal Shield. You've made a tremendous decision to become part of this great organization. We are all part of John and Darcy Hoffman's organization, $800,000 income earners. I mean, continuing to just lead the way in our company. I think about the fact that they've sold over 1.5 million Legal Shield memberships in their tenure. And so that gives you a little clue. You want to get up to about $800,000 a year. You just got to get an organization that goes out and writes 1.5 million memberships. And you've made a great decision. You've come in at an incredible time. And for those of us that are been in this company for a while, I think you realize right now momentum is truly upon our company. A 40% increase this February versus 1 year ago. I got those numbers from Mr. Don Thompson just the other day on one of the leadership calls. A 40% increase this year over last year in recruiting, in membership production. And if that doesn't tell you you're part of something really special, I don't know what will. And we want to get together tonight. What we're going to talk about tonight is really, what do you do with your list? We talk about our list all the time. Your list, you got to have a list. How's your list? You got to do your 10 daily connects. You got to make sure you write them down. You got to go through them every single day. And I think that sometimes when we take a look at that list, we talk all the time about having a workout partner. And the real purpose behind having a workout partner who's somebody's going to kind of work you out a little bit. If you're working out with somebody in the gym, they're right there spotting you. They're making sure the bar doesn't drop on top of you. They're consistently there to push you, to motivate you, to help you to get to that next level. And tonight what we're going to do, and this is totally unscripted, so I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but I have a feeling it's going to turn out very good for a lot of people tonight. Because what we're going to do is, I've got Miss Shelley Wickham and Miss Lynn Schuessler Williams, and what I'm going to do is, go through with them their list. There are 10 people that they've got on their list, that we want to contact. You want to make sure that, you've always got your 10 daily connect sheet close by, which is going to be able to help you. Looking at mine right there, make sure I did mine for today. And it's there as a guide. Really, that's what it is a guide so that you can help walk people through. So I'm going to start out tonight talking with Miss Shelley Wickham. Shelley, are you there on camera so we can see you?
I'm here.
Oh, that is awesome. And now, Shelley joined us a few months ago, and I met her in one of my networking groups. And she's got a background in digital marketing. And so, she has the ability to go out there and talk to small business owners every single day on how to increase their web presence, how to increase their social media. She's got her own company, which she launched just a couple months ago. Very similar to how I launched my business in the world of consulting. I started out working for somebody else, mastering the craft of running clubs. And I said, hey, if I can master their craft, I can master, doing this for myself. And so appreciate you, Shelley, joining us tonight. And, we're going to go ahead and just, do a little bit of role playing tonight. Shelly sent over to me, her list, of some people that she's got, that she's maybe reached out to, maybe she hasn't reached out to yet. But what I want to do tonight is kind of talk through the list. See, when you look at your list, you see a bunch of names. When somebody else looks at your list with you, you start to collaborate and you start to, be able to find different ways and different things and different subject matters that you may want to bring in front of them. So are you ready, Shelly?
I'm ready. I had a feeling I was going to get worked out on this. So that's what you set me up for.
2/5/20, 3:50 p.m. All right, so I'm looking at Shelly's list here, and what I'll do is just going to kind of walk through it. The first lady I see is Alma. Tell me a little bit about Alma. How do you know Alma?
Alma actually is a supervisor caregiver for my son's house. He's disabled, and she is a supervisor, oversees the staffing. Alma and I have been friends for a long time, actually. I've known Alma almost 10 years, I guess. And she's worked for Easter Seals of Joliet. She has a huge circle of influence in the Hispanic-speaking circle. And I know that she's asked about, and we've talked about some extra income opportunities for her. So she actually came to the luncheon last Friday. First luncheon that I went to. She's my first luncheon, my first guest. And I was just sending her over some of the materials, some additional materials. Tonight, actually, we were talking. So I think she's very close to the membership and probably an associate.
Excellent. So she went to the luncheon. She's very, very well known in the Spanish-speaking community. Mm-hmm. She got a chance to see what it is that we do. You sent her over some information tonight. And, one of the things that I would think about is who can we connect her with, in the Spanish-speaking community. In fact, I see Onel Merladat, who's joining us tonight, who's one of the top Spanish-speaking associates in all of Legal Shield. And so I would recommend at this point to Shelly is, let's see if we could connect with a three-way call, with maybe get on the phone with Onel, or maybe we get on the phone with Lou Alleman and have them be able to talk back and forth in Spanish and talk about how this plan really, really works, because I can't speak Spanish. Shelly, do you speak real good Spanish?
No, I asked her if I could move in with her so that I could learn it, and she has 7 kiddos in her house, so she said she didn't want an 8th. So.
All right, so then from this one name, I'm saying to myself, writing a note, let's see if we can get her on a 3-way call with a Spanish-speaking associate, and I think that would be the next good step. Yep. All right, let's take a look at the next person, Heather.
Heather Bauk is my best friend in the world, and her and I have always had that one of the things that drew me to Legal Shield was the legal part of it, because we're not lawyers, but we get to play one. And so Heather and I have been going back and forth. She lives in Michigan. I'll be going to Michigan this weekend. I'm actually having dinner with her on Monday night.
And what's her background? What does she do for work?
Well, she was a legal assistant for a long time, and now she is actually doing appraisals for the Delta Township in Michigan.
Okay, now have you shown her who the Michigan law firm is?
No.
So then one of the things I'd recommend is sending her over some information about Powers Chapman. They are our law firm in Michigan. They're an AV rated law firm. You've got somebody who's in the legal profession. Mm-hmm. And when you send her over and say, listen, this is a real bona fide law firm that's been around for decades in Michigan, this is the law firm that serves our members. So then what I'd recommend is, go look up Powers Chapman. And, once you look up Powers Chapman, just send her over a link, and sometimes what I'll do in that situation is go to the page where it talks about, the coolest stuff about the law firm, maybe who all the lawyers are and stuff like that. But I'd recommend that. And then the other thing I'd say is, okay, maybe we work on getting one of our attorneys, Mr. Bill Frank out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And Bill, again, notice I'm directing towards a three-way call on both of these people right now that we're talking about. But Mr. Bill Frank is an attorney, and maybe get on the phone with him after she's taken a look at Powers Chapman, and he can give his insight because he's seen both sides of the law, both as a professor as well as being an attorney himself and marketing Legal Shield. What about Brenda?
Brenda also lives in Michigan. I should be seeing her this weekend. She's one of our dirt track racing buddies, and she always seems to be in trouble. So she just she just went through a situation where she has purchased land up north in Michigan, and I did send her the video. I have talked to her. She was supposed to be on our three-way call last week. It wasn't, so I have her nailed down to have lunch with her this weekend.
Awesome. And then real quick, and I want to make just like the thing that we did. Now, again, we're pretending that nobody else is watching us here, Shelly. We're just having a conversation.
Oh, they're watching us?
Yeah. Well, anyway, one thing you want to do, just from a verbiage perspective, a three-way call is just me, you, and one other person.
Mm-hmm.
Private conference call is where you invited all your people to come.
Oh, okay.
So that way we're clear there, and we're just got better.
I keep screwing that up, don't I?
That's okay. This is where we probably pull out a three-way joke, but we won't right now because everyone else is watching us. So anyway, Brenda, so she lives up in Michigan. What sort of work does she do?
She actually works for like a foam company. They do like the docks, foams, and supplies. It's a supply company.
So have you sent her anything? Has she seen any videos or anything like that?
Yeah, she's seen the video.
All right. Well, she would be one that you and I could do a three-way call with. And the key on a three-way call is that we don't plan it, meaning that we don't plan it necessarily with her. Mm-hmm. It may be something like you just say, hey, let's try and call Brenda, tomorrow at 4:00. And if Brenda picks up the phone, you say, hey, Brenda, Shelly, do you have just a quick minute? And she's like, sure, that's great. I've actually got somebody on the phone I want to introduce you to. He's a super awesome guy. You can say some nice things about me. And then, say, Timmer, this is my good friend, Brenda. And, she actually lives up in Michigan. I'd sent her over the video to take a look at what we do. I did, and I know we haven't had a chance to, introduce the two of you guys together. So I just want to introduce you because I know, Brenda, you're busy, and Timmer, you're busy. And I thought maybe you had some questions. See, at that point now, all you're doing in that scenario on a three-way call is just introducing them to somebody. See, I look at a three-way call no different than if, let's say Shelly and Brenda were sitting together at a restaurant. And I come walking into the restaurant. Shelly's not going to go like this and go, okay, I'm not going to introduce him. She's going to say, hey, Timmer, come here for a second. And I walk over to the table, and she goes, let me introduce you to my friend here, Brenda. I'm like, oh, hey, Brenda. Hey, Brenda, I know Timmer from this, and I know, Brenda, I know Timmer, I know Brenda from this, and then we just chat for a second. So I'd recommend with her that you and I could just do a three-way call with her and chat a little bit. What about George's Trucking?
So George's Trucking, again, there's a little asterisk there. Jen is a friend of mine, and George owns a towing company. And we met him throughout last summer. Oh, did I lose you? Throughout last summer. And I'm doing some small digital stuff for him, just kind of as a friend and helping him out. And so we've mentioned it. We've talked to him about, he's got, I think, 5 employees. And again, they're on the list to visit this weekend. This trip to Michigan this weekend is going to be kind of it's a business trip. And so they're on the list for dinner with my husband and I for a follow-up while we're there.
So then now Jen works for George?
Jen's his wife.
Jen's his wife. Okay. And so you're helping him out with his social media and getting that sort of stuff out there. So now what has he seen? Has he seen anything yet in regards to what we do?
He hasn't, but Jen has.
And so when
So
you showed Jen, what did she think, and what did you show her exactly?
just the video, the 10-minute video I sent, she watched about 7 or 8 minutes of it. And she's clicked on it a couple of times since I've made contact with her. She just basically said, I think it's something that, I'm going to talk to George about, so that she's softening the beachfront for me, if you would, to have a conversation with him.
Well, and here's the way I would kind of, frame the conversation when you're talking to George, I mean, if there's one person in this world that people don't like, it's tow truck drivers. Because usually when you meet them, they're taking your car away. And they find themselves in some precarious positions sometimes, and people are somewhat not nice and hostile and everything else.
Mhm.
So I would just kind of jokingly say, hey, listen, do your truck drivers or your tow truck drivers ever run into situations where people are not happy when they're towing their car? And he's going to say, well, yeah, I mean, pretty much every time we tow their car, they're not happy. Do they come down to your tow truck place and they scream and they yell and they say you shouldn't have towed their truck and you really you should have towed it? He's going to run in, he's going to probably joke a little bit. I'd say, listen, I want to show you something that can really help you deal with all those situations and also help your employees when they're in those situations in case something were to happen. I mean, if somebody were to, a situation gets a little bit of a awry, having Legal Shield there to protect his employees ultimately protects him. So that's kind of the way that I would approach him a little bit. Let's go through a couple more here. Erica, who's Erica?
Erica is actually ex-employee of ours. She's 23-ish years old. And again, she's ran into the early life challenges with getting stuck with some car bills, some situations. We were talking, and I kind of used the line actually that you'd given me, if you were, I almost did the like, well, why didn't you call your attorney idea? Well, I can't afford one. And so we kind of went into that. And I've been talking to her about it. She has watched the video. She actually has clicked on the video and watched it several times. We've texted back and forth. We've just never we just haven't connected over the past couple of weeks. So she's on my list for follow-up.
All right. So again, what I would recommend is, very similar to what we did with the young lady that is your assistant. Let's see if you and I can get on the phone with Erica. Just,
Yep.
Hey, Eric, I want to introduce you to somebody. And with young folks, you can say, Timmer's worked a lot with young people, helping them really find their direction in life, whether it be in tennis and other areas. And I just thought it'd be a good person for you to meet. And then we just get on the phone with her and we chat a little bit, and it's just one more exposure in the process. What about Matt?
Matt's making me a little crazy. Actually, you've talked to Matt. We had
He was the nurse, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And so he's got the newborns, and I'm not going to give up on him. Just kind of backed off a little bit on this one. But they just had their 4th child, and one of the things that we hit him with, excuse me, was the whole ID Shield piece, because I think it's so urgently important for him to understand how vulnerable those Social Security numbers are for especially the little ones. He's just been busy, and he's pretty skeptical. So that's the big thing with him.
Well, and what I would say to Matt is, Matt, listen, this world's kind of crazy right now. And, you've got this coronavirus that everybody's worried about, and, life gets kind of chaotic and such. And, I know that, in the profession that you're in, getting your will done is really important. And I know that when we had talked, you didn't have that all organized yet. And, this is me just coming to you, as Mama Bear, and saying, listen, it's really important. And I know that you've got some skepticism towards what we do. Listen, for $25, dude, you can get your will done. If you pay that $25 and you fill out the will questionnaire and it doesn't show up at your house completely done and in order, I will hand you $25 back. But you got to get that done.
Yeah.
And so I would just kind of approach it, that way with him. Let's do 2 more. Josh and Christy.
Josh is the firefighter.
He's the one that had the dream about that, right? That we're going to go protect the entire district.
Yes. Yep. He's and Josh and Chris, they're married, obviously, but he's a firefighter. He's actually a fire chief of Orland Park, and yeah, I know. Again, not.
This is where we can mute out and throw the 4-letter words around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, but with him, again, I think here's the hardest thing, right? Shelly, you are busy as the day is long. I mean, you've got, 2 companies, you've got a lot of things that are happening with your son, which, by the way, happy birthday to him. I know he had a birthday the other day. You got all kinds of stuff. And I think it comes down to, just, prioritizing, getting some information to him. Now, one of the things that, for example, and I think I even sent that to you, was, some different fire districts that are offering what we have. Again, let's just, in whether people, this whole thing about this coronavirus and what's going on and people touching other people and what potentially could happen. I mean, at the end of the day, Josh, it's important. Don't you, as the chief, want to make sure that every single one of your firefighters has the option to get their will done? I mean, there's not too many companies or businesses that you run into a burning building and don't know if you could ever come out again. Mm-hmm. And so I say it jokingly, but I also say it seriously. And that's what I would just say. And a great thing to do also, another perfect candidate to get onto a 3-way call. I mean, the guy well enough that you could call him, right?
Yeah.
Well, you could just give him a call, and it kind of goes like this. Hey, Josh, you got a second? He's like, yeah, great. Listen, I was just actually talking to one of my business partners, and we were talking to you about you and such, because he knows that we chatted back and forth that night you all were together. Mm-hmm. And I want to introduce the 2 of you, because he's done a lot of work with municipalities and fire departments. And Timmer is my buddy Josh. He's the fire chief over here, and we just connect. I mean, there's nothing bad that can come out of the conversation, right?
Right.
All right, one more, and then we're going to go to Miss Lynn Schuster-Williams. Tell me about Jean.
She is a special ed teacher in the Romeoville School District. She's a concert buddy that we hang out with, not all the time, but she's actually somebody that I had invited to our private conference call, and I've sent her a short video clip it's kind of I'm not super close to her. I just know that this is something she'd give me an honest opinion about. So I haven't probably done my due diligence in following up and asking her what she thought of the materials I sent.
All right, so what I would recommend is, number one, I know if she's one of your concert buddies, she likes to rock out. So that much I understand. And, second is, sometimes when you got that person that you're not super close with, like you said, I would just say to her, hey, Jean, I don't mean to be a pain in the ass, but, if you could do me a favor, because you work with, let me think of it from this perspective. She works with a lot of autistic children, right? Mm-hmm. In the school district. And Legal Shield does a lot with kids with special needs. So you could really be sincere in that conversation. I'd like you to really take a look at this. I'm speaking to you as a mom of someone who's got some special needs. And I know you sit with parents all the time, and they go through a lot of challenges that are out there. And I'd really love you to take a look at this, because you may know some people that could benefit. And I think she'd say yes. So guys, let me tell you real quick as we get ready to shift gears here. That 10 minutes or so, it's 10 minutes of just quickly going through. And I think we walked out of there with 6 or 7 plans. And those plans are, see if we can connect. Now it becomes, for Shelly to say, okay, Timmer, introduce me to somebody who speaks some Spanish so I can take care of Alma. Introduce me to somebody, who works in this particular industry in the law profession. She can take a look at the law firm that's up there in Michigan. Now she's got 7 or 8 things in relation to those people that she can do. So Shelly, I appreciate you for jumping in and being my guinea pig tonight. Now, Miss Lynn Schuster-Williams, are you there?
I am. Hi.
Hello. Well, Lynn and I are going to do something very, very similar. We're going to kind of chat. I have no idea. In fact, Lynn and I have never even done this together before. I do this with a lot of, the associates that are, directly on my team, but Lynn and I never have. And, Lynn's got a list on her 10 Daily Connect. See, that's written on her 10 Daily Connect sheet so that she can best track them. And, Lynn, these are folks you met at your Ladies of Justice events as well as networking events. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. All of them, but maybe 2 who are other moms from my son's school.
Gotcha. All right. So let's real quick. First person we got is Jackie. Tell me a little bit about Jackie.
So Jackie is an alumni mom. Her son graduated last year from my son's school, and now we've become networking buddies. She works in promotional products. She works for a company that will put your logo on a pen and all that sort of stuff. She's real mission driven. So all the profits that from this company go to fund a mission that does all kinds of good works. And so she's pretty much into things that do good in the world. And she's really started turning up at my LOJ events, and she joined another women's networking group that I'm in. We joined it together. So she's kind of become a close networking buddy. And I actually asked her last week to see if she could come up with a bid for something for me that I wanted for my business to see so we've got some good conversation going, but we haven't had a specific conversation yet about Legal Shield.
So has she seen anything?
Only she sees at my LOJ events, we do a short, really brief overview of the memberships at the end. So she's seen that, but she hasn't seen a video or a more formal presentation yet.
Well, and in that scenario, just with you talking about her being mission driven, you speak about her wanting to help people out, some of her money goes towards missions. Immediately I start thinking about, Kim Melia, the Melia organization, the Work, Play, Love. I start thinking about, Darnell and Tracy and Mike Humes and what they've done over in Haiti. I start thinking about Lisa and John Schiller with what they're doing with the, the kids in India that has to come from, with sex trafficking and, 3 organizations that are really missions. And sometimes, what I would personally do to her, I'd say, listen, one thing I've noticed about you, we've known each other, however you know her, is that you're very, very mission driven, which is one of the reasons that I do Legal Shield. And I'm always looking for folks that are mission driven. If I show you this video, which tells you a little bit about what we do, would you kind of put on your thinking cap and see if you know anybody that's looking to do a little bit more outside of what they're already doing? See, now you're working through her, not working to her. And you're pure with what you're trying to do. You're not trying to do anything other than, listen, I know that you surround yourself with people that are mission driven. I got a lot of folks in Legal Shield that actually utilize our business to fund missions, very similar to like you're doing. If I give you this short video and then you figure out what's the right video for her, it may not be the Darnell Self and Brian Carruthers video, but maybe there's something in the Ladies of Justice, that's in there, which explains the opportunity. So I would just ask her more to work through her to see if she knows anybody, because that's the kind of person she seems to be. All right. What about Dan?
Yeah, that's great. So Dan probably knows you, Timmer. He's a Trinity High School alumni. He's about your age. He goes to Grateful Dead shows. And he is a member of a networking group with me. And his business is mergers and acquisitions. He's helps business owners have an exit strategy and sell their business. He has a background in the restaurant businesses, mostly is his background, food industry. But his company sells all kinds of businesses. And Dan is somebody who kind of I think mentally wrote off Legal Shield, didn't think it was something that, you know, he really believed in. And so we had a sit down and a one-to-one, and he came away a little more impressed. I've put him into Prospect, and I've sent him resources, mostly small business resources, because that was what he was really interested in, and that was what he thought he might be able to connect me to as a referral partner. But he hasn't really, I can tell, you know, in Prospect, he's clicked a link, but he hasn't really taken a look at much. So I saw him today, and we had a good conversation. And I'd had the flu, he'd been busy, you know, so we're just in that place of, let's get back together.
Well, you know, one of the things I'd recommend is, if he likes the Grateful Dead and he went to Trinity, let's me and you do a 3-way call with him, and I'll chat with him. You know, hey man, I just want to introduce you to somebody. You know, hey, what year did you graduate? He's gonna be like, oh, this particular year. You know, and then you and I chat behind the scenes. We do a quick call, just say, hey, we were chatting. I was just on the phone, and I was talking to one of my guys that I work with in Chicago. I mentioned I was talking to a guy that went to Trinity, and you know, he likes the Grateful Dead. And I just thought I'd give you a call real quick, Dan, see if you're around. I want to introduce the two of you. You know, so I mean, that'd be great. On with that, I mean, the idea is with each person that we go through, that we come up with something that can be done next, that doesn't involve just Lynn, or doesn't involve just Shelly. It doesn't involve just you. If you're, you know, who's listening, it involves somebody else or something else. What about Lisa?
So Lisa has a Legal Shield membership. She's a mortgage loan officer. She formerly was a broker and formerly was a partner in a business. And she's maybe a little bit older than me, and she's kind of stepped back, I think, as she's approaching her thoughts about retirement or whatever. So she didn't want to be a broker and in charge of everything anymore. So now she's just an agent. Has a membership through somebody on my team, and that person kind of stepped back and isn't real active in the business anymore. And now Lisa and I are in a women's networking group together. And in the past, I've had conversations with her, with this other associate, about becoming an associate, and about, you know, being in the mortgage industry. You just add 2 questions once you've done everything you can do for a client. Like, you've helped them get their ducks in a row for a mortgage. Now, when it's all done, you just ask them those 2 questions. When was the last time you got your will updated? And, you know, what are you doing to protect your assets against identity theft? So she's heard all of that. She's seen information, and somehow it just, I don't know, it just doesn't kind of seem to sink in with Lisa. She's just one of those, like, hard nuts to crack.
Well, what I would do with a mortgage person, number one is you know, maybe connect her with and connect you with somebody I've got out in Colorado that's doing a lot of work right now with mortgage companies. Number 2 is maybe the questions that you want to ask her have got to be more relevant to what she does. Like, if you were to ask her this question, go, hey, you know what, I was actually working with one of my business partners that works with a lot of mortgage professionals. Do you see a lot of people that have got inaccuracies on their credit report? She don't go, yeah, all the time. And go, yeah, you know, he was just sharing with me a video about how Legal Shield helped to actually get a bankruptcy off a gentleman's credit report that the gentleman, it wasn't even his. And he had written letter after letter after letter, because she's looking, and mortgage people are looking for the right now. I'm trying to get this mortgage done right now. And the other thing is this, you know, with a lot of mortgage professionals, they make a lot of their money on refinances at a later time. And one of the best ways to be able to guarantee you can get a refinance is that your credit report and your credit stays accurate and it doesn't stay compromised. And that's where the ID Shield comes in. And that's where we see a lot of mortgage professionals that are, you know, immersing themselves in and doing that. So that's the sale after the sale. You know, I'd ask her the question, let me ask you this. You know, do you do a lot of refinances with a lot of customers that you currently have? Do you get a lot of repeat business in that? Now, do you ever have situations where you're able to finance them the first time and then something pops up on their credit report, you're not able to do it the second? and just kind of ask those questions a little bit. So I'd kind of frame it that way if that helps out.
That's awesome.
All right. What about Deanna?
Okay, so Deanna and Angela, who's further down on the list, are mother and daughter, and they come to my LOJ events together. And they are both active in a different network marketing company. And I was introduced to them through their upline, who has a Legal Shield membership and who is a great advocate for Legal Shield and for my LOJ events. And she introduced me to them, and then I invited them to my LOJ events. And they show up like I'm always a little bit surprised when they show up, because like I don't really know them very well at all. And I'm a little, I guess I'm feeling a little gun shy because their upline is who introduced me to him, and I wouldn't want to step on any toes or make her feel like I was trying to recruit away people or something like that. So I've been probably a little too cautious around them, because really I think the daughter, Angela, also has a side business that's a real, like an online e-commerce kind of business. So I think that we're such a great fit membership wise for them. I've probably just been kind of too polite and cautious.
Yeah, what I would do is go back to their upline who's got the membership. And, and really the upline hopefully has the legal plan with the home-based business rider, because it's a home-based business. And I'd say, hey, Mrs. Upline, I just want to run something by you real quick. I know these two are on your team, and the one girl has even a side business in addition. I wanted to come to them and share with them about the Legal Shield home-based business rider and such. And I wanted to run that by you first. I'm in no way, shape, or form, because I know we're both in the world of doing what we're doing. But I think that you would agree, you feel better about running your network marketing business, knowing that you've got the Legal Shield membership with the home-based business rider. Would you mind if I bring it up to them? And just ask her, just ask her. And, I think that she'll be very receptive, or she'll tell you, and you know whether or not you got to stay gun shy. And at the very end of it, she'll respect you for doing that.
Yeah, and I think what she'll do is offer to help. Is what I think she'll do. Like, I have a great relationship with her. I sub for her at her BNI, all that sort of stuff. So I think she'll actually say, here, let me help you sell that. That's what I think.
There you go. Do. All right. Well, now you know what you're going to do. Let's do one more. Erin, tell me about Erin.
So Erin is a photographer. She has attended a couple of my LOJ events. So she's heard a little bit about the membership. She's like super introverted and quiet, and I think it stretches her right outside of her comfort zone to come to those, because the LOJ event that she comes to most often is a networking social. So I think that when I'm with her often at those, she's already uncomfortable. Like she's, in this crowd of people, and that's tough for her, is my impression. And so my thought with her was, I should have invited her to a one-on-one before this. I should have just invited her to coffee, right? Is what she should have been on my coffee list, because I think she does great one-to-one, and that would put her at ease.
You say she was a photographer?
Yeah.
Well, what I'd maybe do there is, Annette Zobar's got a lady on her team who's a photographer and very, very similarly wired. Her name is Karen Jackson. And she is, as she says, she feels great behind the camera.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of the way she is. And I know we've got another gentleman who's on right now, Connor, out of Colorado. I could say Connor is definitely not an introvert, but he's a photographer. And, is doing some great stuff with us out in Colorado. But I would work to connect her potentially after you sit with her. And the way I always try and connect people is, hey, I want to connect you with somebody. This is Karen Jackson, or this is Connor. They're a photographer as well. I think it's always great to connect two people that are in similar industries, especially when they don't live in the exact same town. and maybe you guys can bounce some ideas off of each other, and you can get a feel for how you can better grow your business. And, you know, she'd probably feel good doing something like that, you know, so
Right.
try to connect her with somebody who could help her. I think that's a great way to do it. So anyway, well, listen, Lynn, thank you. That was flipping awesome.
Thank you. This was
And-
awesome. Look, I have just notes and notes and notes. It's just great. Thank you.
Well, and guys, I mean, here's the thing: as we finish up tonight's call, you know, I think you saw the power of really looking at your list and looking at your list with somebody, because now Lynn and Shelly both have some next steps, some things that they can now do to then take those contacts that they have and go to the next level. So here's what I encourage. Number one is start sharing your list more with your support team. Start sharing your list more with your workout partner. Start looking at your list differently and bring somebody else in to get a better perspective so that you can continue to go out there and move these people on to the next step. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight, and I will get this uploaded to our Team Ascent site soon. I encourage folks to go back and watch it because I really think it was awesome. I'm just kind of partially biased on that. But anyway, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you, everyone. Peace.